Yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So thank you for coming to our Caitanya Caritamrta class. Sorry Ghanshyam Prabhu he couldn't make it today, so he just asked me to continue on with our reading from Antya Lila. So we're in Antya Lila, chapter 1, text number 33. We got up to in the last class. So as Ghanshyam Prabhu was mentioning, this Antya Lila which we just started, we can divide it into two sections. The first 13 chapters, they talk about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's exemplary dealings with different devotees of his, with different associates with. And every one of these chapters, they'll focus on one or more particular devotees whom Mahaprabhu had exemplary dealings with. And this particular chapter, chapter 1 of Antya Lila, talks about Mahaprabhu's dealings with Srila Rupa Goswami. And then the second half of Antya Lila primarily focuses on Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead, which he displays. So that's chapter 14 to 20. And in the last class, we read about the pastime of Sivananda Sen and the dog, who, because of his association with Sivananda Sen, he got the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, the dog went back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so that's where we're up to at the moment. We'll continue on. So this is Antya Lila, chapter 1, text number 33. Such are the transcendental pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi. He even delivered a dog simply by inducing it to chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna. Text 34. Meanwhile, following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami returned to Vrindavan. He desired to write dramas concerning the pastimes of Lord Krishna. 35. In Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami began to write a drama. In particular, he composed the introductory verses to invoke good fortune. 36. On his way to Godadesh, Rupa Goswami had been thinking of how to write the action of the drama. Thus he had made some notes and began to write. 37. In this way, the two brothers, Rupa and Anupama, reached Bengal. But when they arrived there, Anupam died. So now this chapter is focusing on Rupa Goswami. So it's explaining how on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami had returned from Vrindavan, and how Rupa Goswami was desiring to write some books, desiring to write some dramas concerning the Vrindavan and Mathura pastimes, Dwarka pastimes of Krishna. So then he started contemplating, how should I write this drama, what should the introductory verses be, so on and so forth. So he started planning out this new book or new drama that he's going to write. And then it's explained that along the way that he was traveling with his brother Anupama. So we always hear about Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, how they're brothers, but they also had a third brother of theirs. And so there were actually three of them, three brothers. There's Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and the third brother was Anupama. And it is Anupama's son who is Jiva Goswami. So we have the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan on our altar. And Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, we know them as two brothers. And their nephew is Jiva Goswami. So Rupa and Sanatana Goswami's third brother was Anupam. And Anupam, their brother's son, is Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami is Rupa and Sanatana Goswami's nephew. And while Rupa and Anupam were traveling, it's mentioned that Anupam, untimely, he passes away from this world. He goes back to Godhead. And then after that, Rupa Goswami, he has to travel by himself. And if we look back a bit earlier in Caitanya Caritamrta, it explains how Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they were separated. Rupa Goswami, he was able to easily leave his governmental service and go and surrender to Mahaprabhu. But Sanatana Goswami, he had to stay back. The Muslim king at that time, he was very much attached to Sanatana Goswami. Because Sanatana Goswami was acting like his chief minister. So the Muslim king at that time, he didn't let Sanatana Goswami off so easily. And then Sanatana Goswami was put into prison. And then that whole pastime we saw earlier on. So Rupa and Anupam were traveling together, but then untimely, Anupam, he happens to pass away. Text 38. Rupa Goswami then departed to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for he was very eager to see him. There was some delay because of the death of Anupam, and therefore when Rupa Goswami went to Bengal to see the devotees there, he could not get in touch with them because they had already left. Text 40. In the province of Orissa, there is a place known as Satyabhamapura. Srila Rupa Goswami rested for a night in that village on his way to Jagannath Puri. So along his way, so he's traveling to Jagannath Puri to meet Mahaprabhu. Along his way to Puri in the state of Orissa, he stops by a village named Satyabhamapura. And now he's going to have a very wonderful dream. So that's what we're going to hear about now. Text 41. While resting in Satyabhamapura, he dreamed that a celestially beautiful woman came before him and very mercifully gave him the following order. Text 42. Write a separate drama about me, she said. By my mercy, it will be extraordinarily beautiful. 43. After having that dream, Srila Rupa Goswami considered, it is the order of Satyabhama that I write a separate drama for her. So, going back, Rupa Goswami is contemplating on writing a book or a drama about Krishna's pastimes. And then, along his way to Jagannath Puri, he stops by a village named Satyabhamapura. And in that village, he dreams of a very beautiful celestial lady coming and giving him this instruction that you write a separate drama about me. And Rupa Goswami, he concludes that this personality is none other than Satyabhama, because he's staying in Satyabhamapura, in this village. So then he starts contemplating, okay, Satyabhama has personally come and she's asking me to write a separate drama about me, which means I shouldn't just write one book where all the Vrindavan pastimes and the Mathura and Dwarka pastimes are combined together, but I should write two separate dramas, one for only Vrindavan and one which talks only about Mathura and Dwarka pastimes. And these two books or separate dramas that Rupa Goswami writes, the names of these two famous books are Lalita Madhav and Vidagda Madhav. Sometimes you'll hear devotees quoting verses or some pastimes from these two books. So Vidagda Madhava, that talks about the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna, and Lalita Madhav talks about Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka. And easy way to remember which one is which is V for Vrindavan. So Vidagda Madhav starts with V, so that's for Vrindavan. And then the second one, Lalita Madhav, it talks about the Dwarka and Mathura pastimes. Text 44. I have brought together in one work all the pastimes performed by Lord Krishna in Vrindavan and in Dwarka. Now I shall have to divide them into two dramas. Thus absorbed in thought, he quickly reached Jagannath Puri. When he arrived, he approached the hut of Haridas Thakur. So now finally, he arrives in Jagannath Puri. And where does he go first? First place he goes to when he arrives in Jagannath Puri, he goes straight to the hut of Srila Haridas Thakur. So this residence of Haridas Thakur was personally given to Haridas Thakur by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally arranged for Haridas Thakur to reside in this particular location. And because Haridas Thakur, he was born in a Mohammedan family, he wasn't allowed into the temple of Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy it's given that every day Mahaprabhu used to personally come and give Haridas Thakur's association. It's mentioned before midday, before noon, Mahaprabhu every day would religiously come and personally give darshan to Haridas Thakur, give him association, and then Mahaprabhu will continue on to his daily duties. So in this way, Prabhupada explains that although Haridas Thakur was denied coming into the temple and taking darshan Lord Jagannath, still the Supreme Lord, out of his causeless mercy, instead of the devotee having to go to a temple to see the Lord himself was coming into the devotee's house, into the devotee's residence, and personally giving his darshan every day. So in this way, Prabhupada explains the elevated position of Srila Haridas Thakur, our Namacharya. He didn't have to go to temple, the Supreme Lord. He was so much pleased by his bhakti, by his devotional service, that the Supreme Lord himself every day used to personally walk to his residence and personally give him darshan every day, non-religiously, without fail. So this is the first place Rupa Goswami he goes to when he arrives in Jagannath Puri. Text 46. Out of affectionate love and mercy, Haridas Thakur told Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already informed me that you would come here. 47. After seeing the Upala Bhoga ceremony at the Jagannath temple, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would regularly come to see Haridas every day. Thus, he suddenly arrived there. So it's mentioned here that after the Upala Bhoga ceremony. So what is Upala Bhoga? Prabhupada writes, in the word for translation, Upala Bhoga refers to the offering of the food to Lord Jagannath at noon. So we also have a offering, Bhoga offering to Shri Radha Gopinath around noontime at 11:55. You'll always see the curtains will close, because at that time Gopinath, he takes his lunch. So Lord Jagannath also, around same time, noontime, he gets a Bhoga offering, known as the Upala Bhoga offering. So it's mentioned here, every day after seeing this Upala Bhoga ceremony at the Jagannath temple, at that time, around midday, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go and visit Haridas Thakur. 48. When the Lord arrived, Rupa Goswami immediately offered his obeisances. Haridas informed the Lord, "This is Rupa Goswami offering you obeisances," and the Lord embraced him. So as usual, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes to meet Haridas Thakur in his hut. And this day, when he comes to meet Haridas Thakur, he sees that there's a personality offering dandavats to him. Even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see this devotee's face and so forth, this devotee is already on the floor, flat, offering obeisances. So then Haridas Thakur has to introduce that this great Vaishnava offering you dandavats is none other than Srila Rupa Goswami, who has come to meet you. And then the Lord embraces Srila Rupa Goswami. Text 49. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sat down with Haridas and Rupa Goswami. They inquired from one another about auspicious news and then continued to talk together for some time. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired about Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami replied, "I did not meet him. I came by the path on the bank of the Ganges, whereas Sanatana Goswami came by the public road. Therefore we did not meet. In Prayag, I heard that he had already gone to Vrindavan." Rupa Goswami next informed the Lord about the death of Anupam. After allotting residential quarters there to Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left. Then all of the Lord's personal associates met Srila Rupa Goswami. On the next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again met Rupa Goswami, and with great mercy the Lord introduced him to all the devotees. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is formally introducing Rupa Goswami with all the devotees in Jagannath Puri. So one of the things we can learn from Caitanya Caritamrta is the wonderful dealings that we should have amongst Vaishnavas, the etiquette we should follow in Vaishnava dealings, and that we can see so vividly displayed in Caitanya Caritamrta. Because Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Lord, but he's come in the form of his devotee. So Mahaprabhu, he's teaching by his own example how a proper devotee should act, how a pure devotee should act. And all of his associates, they're all Nityasiddha devotees of his. So in CC, one thing that will instantly stick out at us is the wonderful, sweet, loving dealings that these amazing Vaishnavas, they're having amongst themselves. And we can take inspiration from that and understand, okay, this is how we should be associating with the devotees around us. So this new devotee has come, Srila Rupa Goswami Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu, as proper etiquette, he is introducing Rupa Goswami to all the devotees of Jagannath Puri. That this is Srila Rupa Goswami, he's coming from there. He used to be minister before, but he gave up everything to surrender his life to Krishna. He's very learned. He has a very learned brother, Sanatan Goswami. They both pure devotees. Like this, Mahaprabhu is glorifying Rupa Goswami and introducing him to all the other Vaishnavas in Jagannath Puri. Text 55. Srila Rupa Goswami offered his respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of them all, and all the devotees by their mercy embraced him. So from his side, Mahaprabhu is nicely introducing Rupa Goswami to all the other devotees. And from Rupa Goswami's side, what is he doing? As he's being introduced to the other Vaishnavas, Rupa Goswami, he is offering his obeisances. Mancha kalpa tarubhasya kripa sindhubhyacha. So he is offering his obeisances to each and every one of the Vaishnavas he's being introduced to. And he's seeking their blessings, begging for their blessings and mercy. And the Vaishnavas in return are blessing Rupa Goswami. Text 56. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, you should both show your mercy wholeheartedly to Rupa Goswami. May Rupa Goswami, by your mercy, become so powerful that he will be able to describe the transcendental mellows of devotional service. Thus, Rupa Goswami became the object of love and affection for all the devotees of the Lord, including those who came from Bengal and those who resided in Orissa. So it's said that Mahaprabhu's personal associates you can divide into two categories. There's those associates who are there in Bengal, Navadip Dham, who got to personally witness the first 24 years of Mahaprabhu's life. And then there is the other associates which are present in Jagannath Puri, who were associating with Mahaprabhu after he took sannyas. And it's given in this verse that Rupa Goswami, he became the very wonderful object of love and affection for all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, both the devotees from Orissa and also the devotees of Bengal. So this is something we should all be aspiring for, that we should seek to be an object of pleasure for all the Vaishnavas, rather than being a disturbance or a person who others have to tolerate. We should seek to conduct ourselves and serve the other Vaishnavas in such a way that we become a source of pleasure for everyone. And if we can somehow or other become like that, be a source of pleasure for all the other Vaishnavas, like Rupa Goswami is, for all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, then we can acquire immense mercy, immense blessings of the Vaishnavas. And then Mahaprabhu explains, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that we can become very strong and powerful in devotional service. So this is a secret in how to becoming very strong and fixed up in bhakti, how to become very strong devotee. Mahaprabhu is saying that, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, you please give your full blessings to Rupa Goswami. Why? Because if he gets the blessings of all of you great Vaishnavas, then he'll become very strong and powerful. Then after becoming very strong and powerful in bhakti, he can write great transcendental literatures, glorifying the mellows of devotional service. And that's what Rupa Goswami ends up doing. He conducted himself in such a humble, simple manner that he became the object of love and affection of all the associates of Mahaprabhu. So all the associates of Mahaprabhu, they were helplessly being forced to give their blessings to Rupa Goswami because of the humble way he was dealing with everyone. So in the same way, if we also conduct ourselves in a way that we please all the other Vaishnavas, then we can collect blessings from different devotees. And just collecting blessings for a few devotees gives so much benefit. What to speak of collecting blessings from many devotees. Then on the strength of that, we can our bhakti to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath can increase many-fold, and we can become very strong in devotional service. Text 59. Every day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to see Rupa Goswami, and whatever prasadam he received from the temple, he would deliver to Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur. So again, Haridas Thakur, he wasn't allowed into temple, so Mahaprabhu every day used to go and give Haridas Thakur his personal association. Not only that, Mahaprabhu every day used to personally bring prasadam to Haridas Thakur's house and personally give him Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad. So Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, there are also two other devotees who didn't enter the Jagannath Puri temple. Haridas Thakur, he was born in a Mohammedan family, so that's why he didn't go. But Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, technically they could have went in because they were born in Pakka Brahmana families. So they were born in Pakka Hindu Brahmana families. So they could have technically entered the temple. But out of the humility, Rupa and Goswami were thinking, although we were born in Brahmana families, throughout our whole lives we've been associating with the meat eaters. We've been associating with all of these demoniac government leaders, ministers who are all meat eaters, yavanas, mlechas. So by their association, we become like who we associate with. So out of their own humility, they were thinking, although we're born in Brahmana families, because of associating with these meat-eating politicians and ministers, so on and so forth, we have become just as degraded as them. We've become just as good as them. Therefore, it's not proper for us to enter the Jagannath Puri temple, and therefore we don't want to create any disturbance with the local authorities of the temple, So this is the mood of a Vaishnava. He never wants to create any commotion or disturbance in anyone's life. Not just in other devotees' lives, but even for karmis. He doesn't want to be the source of distress or pain for anyone. So Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, being considerate, being very humble, they were thinking, okay, we're born in Brahmana families, but we've been associating with sinful people, so therefore, it's not proper for us to enter, and even if we try to enter, the local authorities, they might question, it might be a source of disturbance for them. And they didn't want to be a source of disturbance like that. So that's why Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they also voluntarily never entered the temple of Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu would every day personally meet Haridas Thakur and also personally give prasadam to Haridas Thakur. Like we have our own Upala Bhog to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, and then 12:40 the Mahaprasad comes out, and you see many devotees, they will get Gopinath's Raj Bhog Mahaprasad. So Mahaprabhu, what he used to do, every day he himself would personally save the Raj Bhog of Lord Jagannath, pack it in takeaway container, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to every day personally come and deliver the Raj Bhog of Jagannath, of Lord Jagannath's Maha, and personally deliver it to Haridas Thakur. Not just once a week, or once a month, or on weekends, but every day. Mahaprabhu used to religiously visit Haridas Thakur and give him the Raj Bhog Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath. So again, Mahaprabhu is showing by his personal example how loving dealings amongst Vaishnavas should be. Like Rupa Goswami says, right? The 6 loving exchanges amongst devotees. One should reveal one's mind in confidence. One should hear also in return. One should give prasad and one should accept prasad. And one should give gifts in charity and one should accept gifts in charity. So we've already seen the first 4. What did Rupa Goswami and Mahaprabhu do when they first met each other? Rupa Goswami offered dandavats, and then we read they started inquiring from each other about how things are in their different areas. Mahaprabhu was inquiring about Rupa Goswami, how are things, how is your brother Sanatana Goswami? Then Rupa Goswami says, okay, I haven't met him, we haven't come across, unfortunately. Then Mahaprabhu inquires from him, how is your other brother, Anupam? Then Rupa Goswami has to share the unfortunate news that unfortunately Anupam has passed away. So inquiring confidentially. And now we're seeing the other 2. Giving of prasadam and accepting prasadam. Okay, text 60. He would talk for some time with both of them and then leave to perform his noontime duties. So usually he will bring some of Jagannath's Mahaprasad for Rupa Goswami, but this time he brings 2 takeaway containers of Mahaprasad. One Mahaprasad for Rupa Goswami and another one for Haridas Thakur. So whenever Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they would visit Jagannath Puri and stay in Jagannath Puri to get Mahaprabhu's association, they would always stay in Haridas Thakur's residence. So now Rupa Goswami is in Jagannath Puri, so he's staying with Haridas Thakur. Then later on we'll see Sanatan Goswami also visiting Jagannath Puri to get Mahaprabhu's association. Then again we'll see the same thing. When Sanatan Goswami, he comes to Jagannath Puri, he will again stay with Haridas Thakur. Then Mahaprabhu will do the same thing. Mahaprabhu will bring him Jagannath's Mahaprasad also every day. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dealings with them continued every day. Thus, receiving the transcendental favor of the Lord, Srila Rupa Goswami felt unlimited pleasure. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, taking all his devotees with him, performed the Gundicha Marjan, washing and cleansing of the Gundicha temple, he went to the garden known as Eitota and accepted prasadam at a picnic within a garden. So now it's mentioned that Rupa Goswami has arrived in Jagannath Puri, and then soon after that, the Ratha Yatra festival is about to take place, and before Ratha Yatra is the famous pastime of Gundicha Marjan. One has to clean the Gundicha temple before Lord Jagannath comes and resides there. So here it's nicely given. After Mahaprabhu and his devotees, they clean the whole Gundicha temple. What do? They go to a garden nearby and they have a picnic. They have prasad picnic. So having a picnic in the park is bona fide, as we see with Mahaprabhu here. Mahaprabhu himself with his devotees is having a picnic within a garden with the devotees. But it has to be prasad, and we should be talking Krishna Katha and not Prajalpa. Then the picnic is bona fide. Okay, text 63. When Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami saw that all the devotees were accepting prasad and chanting the holy name, okay, so this is 2 things they were doing during their picnic. They were taking prasad and they were chanting the holy name of the Lord. They were both greatly pleased. Text 64. When they received the remnants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prasadam through Govinda, they respected it, and then they both began to dance in ecstasy. So this is another important point. It's given here that Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur, they weren't personally present in the picnic itself. So Mahaprabhu was having a nice intimate picnic with all of his intimate devotees. They're all accepting prasad together, relishing the holy name. But Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they were not in the actual picnic itself, they were just standing at a distance apart. Because again, they're considering themselves, we're not qualified, we're fallen. Haridas Thakur would always be far away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinking himself very fallen. He would always keep a distance. So in that humble mood, Rupa and Haridas Thakur, they were a bit aloof from the picnic, just watching from a distance. So generally, if it was us, we would feel a bit jealous, that these Vaishnavas, they're very fortunate. They get to personally sit with Mahaprabhu and enjoy a nice picnic, They get to personally talk with Mahaprabhu, get Mahaprasad, enjoy, relish Mahaprasad. So we will think, those devotees are very lucky, we missed out on all the mercy. And we would feel a little jealous in heart. But Rupa and Haridas Thakur, it's not mentioned like that. I'll read the text 63. When Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami saw that all the devotees were accepting prasad and chanting the holy name of the Lord, they were both greatly pleased. So Rupa and Haridas Thakur, being pure Vaishnavas, when they're seeing other Vaishnavas engaged blissfully in relishing prasad and chanting the holy name, they also feel greatly pleased. So this is the nature of a pure Vaishnava. Prabhupada explains. Pure Vaishnava is para sukha sukhi, which means when he sees the happiness of others, he also feels very happy. And para dukkha dukhi, when he feels distress, when he sees distress of others, he also feels distressed himself. But unfortunately, due to contamination in this material world, for us, many times it's the opposite. When we see someone having a very good time, then we become a bit jealous, a bit sad. So we become para sukha dukhi. By seeing the sukha of someone else, we become dukhi. And the other way around also. When we see someone else struggling, then we feel a bit happy. Okay, I'm better than him. This person is struggling, he's having a tough time. I'm greater than him. Then we feel a certain bit of Ishwar Bhav, pride that, okay, I'm doing better than this person. So para dukkha sukhi. By seeing the dukkha of someone else, we become very sukhi. We become very happy. But we should be like Rupa and Haridas Thakur. We should take pleasure in the happiness of others. Text 64. When they received the remnants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prasadam through Govinda, they respected it, and then they both began to dance in ecstasy. So after the picnic was over, then Govinda, the personal servant of Mahaprabhu, he personally collects all the remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plate, and he gives the Maha Prasad of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa and Haridas Thakur, who were just standing on the side. 65. On the next day, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Srila Rupa Goswami, the omniscient Lord spoke as follows. Okay, this is Mahaprabhu instructing Rupa Goswami. Do not try to take Krishna out of Vrindavan, for he does not go anywhere else at any time. Text 67. The Krishna known as Yadu Kumar is Vasudeva Krishna. He is different from the Krishna who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Yadu Kumar Krishna manifests his pastimes in the cities of Mathura and Dwarka. But Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, never at any time leaves Vrindavan. After saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to perform his noontime duties, leaving Rupa Goswami somewhat surprised. 69. Satyabhama ordered me to write 2 dramas. Srila Rupa Goswami thought, now I understand that this order has been confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So previously, Rupa Goswami had this dream by Satyabhama, where Satyabhama Devi came in his dream and said, instead of writing 1 drama, you write 2 dramas. One dedicated to my pastimes in Dwarka, and the other dedicated to the Vrindavan pastimes. Now the same thing Mahaprabhu is instructing again. Mahaprabhu is telling Rupa Goswami now that don't try to take Krishna out of Vrindavan, for he does not go anywhere else. He's always in Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu indirectly is giving him the same instruction that you write 2 dramas. So now Rupa Goswami is thinking, okay, first Satyabhama said, now Mahaprabhu is again saying, so it has to be true. I have to do this. I have to separate the two pastimes. Text 70. Formerly I wrote the 2 dramas as one composition. Now I shall divide it and describe the incidents in 2 separate works. I shall write 2 separate invocations of good fortune and 2 different introductions. Let me think deeply about the matter and then describe 2 different sets of incidents. During the Ratha Yatra ceremony, Rupa Goswami saw Lord Jagannath. He also saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting in front of the Ratha Yatra. So Ratha Yatra is very significant because for all those personalities who are denied entrance into Jagannath Puri temple, this is the time when they can see Lord Jagannath. Because ordinarily, for all the other years of the day, they can't go into the temple. So they can't take darshan of Lord Jagannath. Rupa Goswami, Haridas Thakur, Sanatan Goswami, personalities like them, they weren't allowed into the temple. Or out of humility, they didn't go. But Ratha Yatra time, Lord Jagannath himself, he comes out of the temple and he gives darshan to everyone else. So Ratha Yatra time is very special because that's that one time during the year when devotees like Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami, they can now drink in the beauty of Lord Jagannath. Text 73. When Rupa Goswami heard a verse uttered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the ceremony, he immediately composed another verse dealing with the same subject. I have already described all these incidents, but I still wish to add briefly something more. So now during the Ratha Yatra, what Rupa Goswami he sees? He sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting ecstatically in front of the Ratha Yatra cart, which we saw in Madhya Lila. But while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is singing and dancing in front of Lord Jagannath, he is reciting one particular verse. And this verse has a very deep meaning and significance. And it's mentioned that this verse is so deep that no one could understand the inner depths of this verse. There was only one person who could understand, and that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal secretary, which was Swarup Damodar Goswami. And Swarup Damodar Goswami is none other than Lalita Sakhi, the most confidential associate of Srimati Radharani. And Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So during the Rath Yatra, Mahaprabhu used to chant this very confidential verse. Everyone was bewildered regarding the meaning of this verse. Only Swarup Damodar Goswami could understand it. But in this particular year, while Mahaprabhu was chanting this verse, Rupa Goswami, he hears this verse recited by Mahaprabhu, and he immediately understands the meaning, the depths of this verse. And then Rupa Goswami, he composes another verse in Sanskrit, revealing the meaning of what Mahaprabhu is saying in that original verse which Mahaprabhu was chanting. So that we're going to see now. Text 75. Generally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a verse while dancing and chanting before the Ratha, but no one knew why he was reciting that particular verse. So this verse Mahaprabhu was chanting, no one could figure out, why is he saying this? What is the meaning of this? Text 76. Only Swarup Damodar Goswami knew the purpose for which the Lord recited that verse. According to the Lord's attitude, he used to quote other verses to enable the Lord to relish mellows. Rupa Goswami, however, could understand the intention of the Lord, and thus he composed another verse that appealed to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 78. Okay, this verse, text 78, is that verse which Mahaprabhu used to recite during the Ratha Yatra, which used to bewilder devotees regarding why is Mahaprabhu saying this, what is the meaning of this. Okay, so this is the verse, text 78. That very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. Now, text 79 is the verse that Rupa Goswami composes, explaining the meaning of what Mahaprabhu is trying to say in this confidential verse. Okay, so this is text 79. This is what Rupa Goswami is composing to explain the meaning of Mahaprabhu's words. Text 79. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So in this verse we're seeing words spoken by Srimati Radharani. How she is saying that, okay, we're in Kurukshetra and I'm meeting my Krishna again, but it's not the same. I wish Krishna would come back to Vrindavan. So generally we say that pure devotional service means we only think about Krishna's pleasure and we don't think about our own pleasure. Pure devotional service means everything for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna Sukha Hetu. Everything for the Hetu, everything for the cause of Krishna Sukha, everything for the cause of Krishna's happiness. But in this verse, and sometimes in the way the gopis conduct themselves, it seems that there's some personal desire. Like for in this place, for example, Srimati Radharani is saying that, okay, I've met my Krishna again in Kurukshetra, but I wish he would come back to Vrindavan. Externally speaking, it seems like there is some selfishness there, that she wants to enjoy with Krishna in Vrindavan. But actually, it is not for her sake that she wants Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. My Guru Maharaj explains, the reason the gopis, they always want Krishna to come back to Vrindavan is not that they can enjoy with Krishna, but because the gopis understand that that particular location where Krishna can experience the highest pleasure is Vrindavan. No other place in the whole creation can give Krishna as much pleasure as Sri Vrindavan Dham. And the gopis understand that the love and affection which they show to Krishna, the happiness that Krishna feels in their association, is incomparable or can't be matched by any other devotee anywhere else. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. So, like this, my Guru Maharaj explained, this is the mood and the consciousness of the gopis. They don't want Krishna to come back to Vrindavan from Kurukshetra so they can enjoy with Krishna. They want Krishna to come back to Vrindavan because they understand their whole mood is what gives Krishna the most pleasure. Their whole mood is what gives Krishna the most happiness. And they understand Krishna is most happy in Vrindavan. Therefore, Krishna, you have to come back to Vrindavan because we want to give you the best. We want to give you the highest happiness. And also, my Guru Maharaj explains, the gopis understand that no one else can serve Krishna as good as they can serve Krishna. That's why they want Krishna to come to Vrindavan. That's why they want to offer their service to Krishna. Because they understand that no one else can match their service. And because they're the best, they want to offer that best loving service to Krishna. So that is the mood of the gopis. So although externally it seems like there's some selfishness in there, actually there's no trace of selfishness in the gopis' mood. And same thing with the gopas, like in Krishna book, one pastime we see the gopas, they complain to Krishna that, we're very hungry after playing Krishna, our stomach is churning, we're feeling very hungry. Krishna and Balaram, can you please get some food for us? So again, this seems like selfishness, right? Asking God to bring some nice food for you. How can you do that? This is using Krishna for your own sense pleasure. But the acharyas explain, actually this is not so. What the gopas, they were thinking is that we've been playing for a long time and definitely Krishna and Balaram, they must be hungry. But because Krishna and Balaram, they're very humble, they don't want to disturb us by saying, oh, we're hungry, let's go out to eat. So Krishna and Balaram, they're very humble, so they wouldn't openly speak out, oh, we're hungry, let's get some food. But definitely they must be hungry. So to help Krishna and Balaram satisfy their hunger, what we will do, we will fake as if we are hungry. And we will get Krishna and Balaram to get food. So then Krishna and Balaram's stomachs will be satisfied. So that is the mood in which the gopas, they ask Krishna and Balaram, please can we get some food? So that's when the pastimes with the brahmanas happens and the wives of the brahmanas. Okay, we'll go next text, text 80. After writing this verse on a palm leaf, Rupa Goswami put it somewhere in his thatched roof and went to bathe in the sea. So Rupa Goswami, he composed this verse on a piece of palm leaf and then he puts it somewhere in the roof. Then he goes to the ocean to take bath. So in those days they didn't have any automatic showers where you just press the button and the shower will just come and you take bath. So whenever you'll see devotees, they want to take bath, they would all go to the ocean and take bath in the ocean. That's how. Or if there's a river nearby, they would go take bath in the river. For example, Navadvip, when Mahaprabhu was present there, he used to go take bath in Ganga. Now Mahaprabhu is at Jagannath Puri. Whenever time for bath will come, they would all go to the ocean and take bath over there. So Rupa Goswami writes this beautiful verse, puts it in his roof, and then he goes out to the ocean to take bath. Text 81. At that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there to meet him. And when he saw the leaf pushed into the roof and saw the verse, he began to read it. After reading the verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed by ecstatic love. At that very time, Rupa Goswami returned, having finished bathing in the sea. So Mahaprabhu, he happens to come while Rupa Goswami is gone, and Mahaprabhu notices this secret verse composed in the roof. Mahaprabhu opens it and he reads it. Seeing the Lord, Sri Rupa Goswami fell flat in the courtyard to offer obeisances. The Lord slapped him mildly in love and spoke as follows. My heart is very confidential. How did you know my mind in this way? After saying this, he firmly embraced Rupa Goswami. So when Mahaprabhu is reading this verse by Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu is surprised. How did Rupa Goswami understood? How did he understand what was going on in my mind? This is so confidential. There's only one person I know who could understand my mind, that's Swarup Damodar. How is it that Rupa Goswami was able to understand my inner mood, my inner consciousness? So Mahaprabhu is very surprised and is embracing Rupa Goswami in great joy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took that verse and showed it to Swarup Damodar for him to examine. Then the Lord questioned him. How could Rupa Goswami have understood my heart? The Lord asked. Swarup Damodar replied, I can understand that you have already bestowed your causeless mercy upon him. 87. No one could otherwise understand this meaning. I can therefore guess that previously you bestowed upon him your causeless mercy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is looking to Swarup Damodar and asking him, how is it that Rupa Goswami was able to figure this out? How could he understand my inner mind? Do you have any answer? And then Swarup Damodar, he very nicely replies that, my Lord, the only way someone can understand your inner desires, your inner mood, is if you bestow your causeless mercy upon them. So it's only you who are empowering him to understand about you. You're the cause. You have given your causeless mercy to Rupa Goswami, and because of your causeless mercy, Rupa Goswami is empowered to understand this. So from this we understand that whenever we see any Vaishnava doing some particular nice service, we should understand that he is empowered by the blessings, by the causeless mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of the empowerment, he is able to do wonderful service. One pastime I was reading recently about Srila Prabhupada, and this Friday we're having Gaur Purnima, and this particular pastime actually happens on Gaur Purnima during the early days of ISKCON. So once during Gaur Purnima, during the early days, I think this is somewhere in America, I'm not sure where exactly, but this pastime involves Jayananda Prabhu, so it might be in San Francisco. So during the very early days of ISKCON, it was Gaur Purnima day, and all the devotees in the temple, they were asked that to celebrate Gaur Purnima, what you should do, you should sit inside and you should engage in either kirtan, japa, or reading the Shastras. So devotees, they were just alternating between these three things. So they would chant some japa, chant some rounds. Then they would do some kirtan, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then they would sit down for some time and just read from Prabhupada's books. Like this, they were doing this the whole day. 3 hours went by, 4 hours went by. Like this, many hours went by, just in reading, chanting, and singing inside the temple room. Then suddenly, spontaneously, they just thought to themselves, why not we go chant outside? And let's chant outside and go to Srila Prabhupada's quarters. So the temple was in one location, and the house where Prabhupada used to stay was just a few blocks away. Like here in North Sydney, we have the temple here, and we have devotees living nearby the temple in different apartments. Just 1-2 minute walk away. So in the same way, the temple was in one location, and Prabhupada's apartment was just a few houses down. So the devotees for 3-4 hours, they were just chanting and reading. Then they thought to themselves, let's chant outside and go towards Prabhupada's quarters. And this is the very early days of ISKCON, and Guru Das Prabhu, he's reciting this story. And he is saying, before this incident, they had never ever chanted outside. Kirtan means it's inside the temple. Never ever before have they gone outside the temple and chanted. But on this particular day, on Gaur Purnima, they just thought to themselves, 3-4 hours just sitting inside, just reading, chanting. Then I guess maybe they got a bit bored or something. They thought, okay, let's go outside and let's do the kirtan and go towards Prabhupada's quarters. So then they were walking along the streets, chanting, and they come to Prabhupada's apartment. And Prabhupada is on second floor, and Prabhupada's looking down upon the devotees, seeing them engaged in chanting. And then Prabhupada with his hand, he waves to them like that. Come in, like that. But the devotees, they misunderstand Prabhupada's action of doing like this. They think that actually Prabhupada is displeased at them for chanting outside. And when Prabhupada is doing like this, they're thinking, oh no, we've displeased Prabhupada. Prabhupada is asking us to go away. So instead of understanding what Prabhupada is actually meaning, that Prabhupada is very pleased, Prabhupada is asking them to come inside and meet him, they think Prabhupada is saying, go away. So then they become sad, and then they start walking away. And then Prabhupada's servant, he comes downstairs, Upendra Prabhu, and he starts chasing after the devotees, saying, no, you misunderstood Prabhupada. Prabhupada wasn't asking you to go away, Prabhupada is asking you to come in. So and then the devotees, they came upstairs to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was very pleased. And then Prabhupada told those devotees that this chanting and dancing out on the streets in public is very, very good. From now on, I want all of you, every day, you should go out onto the streets, and every day you should do Harinam. Every day like this, you should do singing and chanting on the streets. No more inside temple. From now on, take it outside. And Guru Das Prabhu and then Prabhupada said that I understand that this is no ordinary incident. that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on his appearance day, has personally come and given you the intelligence from within today on his appearance day to go out and chant on the streets. And then Prabhupada tells them, okay, every day you go out and chant on the streets from this day onwards. So that's how Guru Das Prabhu says, how Harinam Sankirtan started, at least in this particular part of America. Before that, there was no Harinam. But from the most auspicious day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, Gaur Purnima day, that's when Harinam Sankirtan started. So just as Mahaprabhu personally inspired these early devotees of ISKCON to go out and chant on the streets, in the same way, Swarup Damodar Goswami is telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the only way Rupa Goswami could have understood the meaning of this verse is by your causeless mercy. You only empowered him, you only from within your heart helped him understand. That's how he's able to understand. Okay, it's 8:30. We'll stop here. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.